Pokemon gyms. They're like the big boss fights of Pokemon games. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not. But everything before that first gym kind of feels like a tutorial. Like it's all just preparation for the real game. So it got me thinking, how long does it take to get to the first gym in every Pokemon game? Let's find out. Some quick ground rules. I'm gonna try to get to the first gym in every game as fast as I can, but this is not a speedrun. There will be no glitches, no speedrun strats or any of that. Just playing through the game normally, but straight to the gym. For that reason, I can skip any non-mandatory trainer battles, but in some of the games, I'll have to grind up at least a few levels to get through those battles. So to keep it fair between all games, I must battle every wild Pokemon I find. And finally, to keep it simple, we're gonna use the in-game time. Make sense? Cool. Let's do this. Pokemon Red and Blue. We are introduced to the world of Pokemon through Pallet Town in the Kanto region. We grab the potion from the PC, say bye to Mum, then head out to the tall grass. We meet Professor Oak, who gives us our very first starter, and pause. Now I know I said this wasn't a speed run, but I still want to get this done as fast as I can, so I want to pick the best starter here. Now we're really only going to be using the first 1 or 2 attacks before the gym, which means Tackle for Bulbasaur and Squirtle, and Scratch for Charmander. Tackle does 35 base damage off of 95% accuracy, and Scratch does 40 base damage and has 100% accuracy. So the obvious answer here is the Lizard. Plus, he also has the highest base attack stat with 52, so he may not be very useful in the gym, but he's gonna get us there the quickest. And unpause. We take on Blue in his new Squirtle, and luckily we grabbed that potion earlier, or Charmander may not have survived this one, but we take the win and head up to Viridian City. We stop past the Pokemart to get Oak's parcel, then head back to Pallet Town to trade it in for our very own Pokedex. And that's pretty much all we need to do. We take out a few wild Pidgeys while we make our way north to the Viridian Forest. We pick up an antidote on the way because there's actually just one trainer in here that we can't avoid. The final bug catcher, who has a level 9 Weedle that likes to use Poison Sting. But we take out the Weedle, heal up the poison, and walk straight through Pewter City and into the gym after just 12 minutes. That was pretty quick. But what about Pokemon Yellow? Yeah, it's pretty much the same game, but let's see what's changed. We grab the potion, say bye to Mom, go to the grass, but this time we get attacked by a wild Pikachu. Oak catches the Pikachu, and no pauses this time because the rat's the only option. But Pikachu does follow us around in this game, so that's pretty cool. We take on Blue and his Eevee before we do the parcel and get the Dex. We make our way up north, but this time we get stopped to watch an unskippable catching tutorial. Otherwise it's all the same. We go through the forest, we take on the bug catcher and his level 10 Caterpie. Okay, it's a small change, but I'll take it. Straight through Pewter and into the gym in 14 minutes. That Caterpie made all the difference. Pokemon Gold and Silver. We kick off our journey through Johto in New Barktown. Mum tells us all about the new Pokegear and how to use a phone. We head straight into the lab to meet Professor Elm, who asks us to go meet Mr. Pokemon. He then gives us our own Pokemon to keep us safe, and pause. Now Chikorita's not even an option because it's terrible, so it's a choice between the Cyndaquil and the Totodile. Now Cindy's got the best speed and special attack, but I don't think we're hitting level 12 before the first gym, so that Ember just isn't gonna happen. But Totodile's 65 base attack stat with a base 40 scratch attack will do just fine. And unpause. We head out west, take out a few Pidgeys, go straight through Cherry Grove City, then up north to see Mr. Pokemon, who gives us the Mystery Egg. And we get to see our old friend Professor Oak, who's just kinda hanging out, but he does give us the Pokedex. We start making our way back to New Barktown, but we get a call from Professor Elm, who is freaking out, so we backtrack through Cherry Grove and run into a mysterious young man who stole the worst starter of all time. We get back to the lab, talk to the cops, and give Elm the egg. We head back towards Cherry Grove, politely decline a catching tutorial, then head up north where I do a terrible job of trying to avoid youngster Joey and his level 4 Rattata. After an easy win, we take on a trainer you actually can't avoid, youngster Mikey with his level 2 Pidgey and another level 4 Rattata. We get a quick call from Mum, dodge a couple of trainers, and arrive at Violet City where we go straight to the gym with a time of 16 minutes. A little bit longer, but not a lot a bit longer. Let's try Pokemon Crystal. Now this is the first Pokemon game ever where I can be a girl, so I'm playing as Chris. I feel like Crystal would have been fine for a name, but whatever. Everything goes pretty much the same as Gold and Silver. We get a Pokemon, go get the egg, battle the rival, head back to the lab and then out to Cherry Grove. The only real difference is that all the Pokemon have a little animation at the start of the battles now, which looks pretty cool. We head up north and I'm not making the same mistake twice, so I go around youngster Joey and... Dick. We take on youngster Mikey, head up to Violet City and into the gym in 18 minutes this time. Damn, those animations really make a difference. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. These are the first of the Game Boy Advance games, and we start our journey through the Hoenn region in the back of a moving truck, but pretty soon we arrive in Littleroot Town. Mum shows us the new place, we set the clock and head downstairs to find out we just missed Dad on TV. Yeah, we have a dad in this game. Mum tells us to go meet the neighbours and we are introduced to May, who will serve as one of 2 rivals for these games. She leaves, so we do too, and we head up north to find Professor Birch being chased by a Poochyena. We run over to his bag to grab a Pokemon and pause. Now we've got 3 specific types of battlers here to choose from. We've got Trico, the special attacker, Torchic, the mixed attacker, or Mudkip, the physical attacker. Since we're only really going to be using Pound, Scratch, or Tackle, I'm going to sacrifice the 5 less damage of Tackle and go with the physical attacking Mudkip, and unpause. We take out Poochie and head back to Professor Birch's lab where he lets us keep the Mudkip and asks us to go hang out with his daughter May. We head up through Oldale Town for a quick battle with May before heading back to Littleroot Town to grab the Pokedex. Then on the way back north, Mum stops us to give us the running shoes, so now we can zippy zoom all over the place. After going west from Oldale Town, we find our first trainer battle, youngster Kelvin and his level 5 Zigzagoon. We take out a couple more Zigzagoon, and then when we get to Petalburg City, we go straight to the gym. But this is not the first gym. This is Dad's gym. While we're having a quick chat with Dad, a kid named Wally comes in and asks for a Pokemon. Dad gives him his own Zigzagoon and a Pokeball, and asks us to go out and help Wally catch his own Pokemon. Wally hits the 4% Ralts encounter first try, and we have our second rival. Also, this is the right way to do a catching tutorial. Make it part of the story so it doesn't just feel like it's wasting your time. We make our way through the Petalburg woods and run into the Devon researcher who's looking for a Shroomish, but we're ambushed by a member of Team Magma, which is the first time that we've seen a Team whatever grunt this early in the game. We take out his level 9 Poochyena, get out of the woods and then run straight through Rustboro City and into the door of the gym at 17 minutes, which is pretty on par with Gold and Silver. But Pokemon Emerald. We're gonna carry on from Crystal here and choose the girl, which doesn't change much, but it does mean we live on the east side of town now. Everything goes pretty much the same as Ruby and Sapphire here, but I get terrible luck with wild encounters, so by the time we get to the gym, we are at 20 minutes, and yes, we're doing the remakes. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. We are back in Kanto, baby, but this time, it actually looks pretty good. We got different colors, we've still got the PC potion, we got more than like 17 pixels, we're having a good time. We say bye to Mum, head out to the grass, meet Professor Oak, yes we're going with Charmander again, we take on Green, grab the parcel, back to Oak, get the Pokedex, battle some birds, and just like in Yellow, we gotta watch the unskippable catching tutorial. But we get through that, get to the forest, battle some bugs, and take on bug catcher Sammy, who got his Weedle back. Straight through Pewter and into the gym at just 11 minutes, which just barely edges out the Gen 1 games for the fastest time so far. But next up is Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And these are the first games for the Nintendo DS, but we start off in Sinnoh with the end of a special report on the search for a red Gyarados before heading downstairs where Mum tells us that Barry is having some kind of an emergency. We head over to Barry's house where we quickly learn that he is on cocaine. We head up to his room where he immediately leaves, so we follow him north of Twin Leaf Town to find out that the emergency is that he saw the red Gyarados on TV and has decided that therefore it must live in his local lake. We go to Lake Verity and eavesdrop on Professor Rowan and his assistant Dawn. They leave their briefcase behind and Barry the Coke Fiend decides that we should rob the old man and steal his briefcase. So we do, but then we get attacked by Wild Starly and pause. Now the obvious answer here is Turtwig with that base 68 attack stat, but its early moveset is terrible with Tackle, Withdraw, and Absorb. Piplup has a decent base special attack with 61, but that base 20 bubble is going to be doing nothing, so Chimchar with Scratch and Ember is going to have to do. And let's be honest, if you're actually playing these games, you're probably choosing Chimchar because there are no fire types in these games. And unpause. We take out the Starly and make our way back to Twin Leaf where we find Professor Rowan, who seems kinda pissed that we stole his Pokemon, and Barry is very confused. Back home, Mum tells us that we should go talk to the professor and explain what the hell happened, so she gives us the running shoes and we're back to zippy zooming all over the place. We take on a couple more Starly before we get to Sandgem Town and meet Dawn, who shows us the research lab before we get smacked in the face with some Barry. Dawn says your friend's kind of a dick, and yeah, pretty much. Professor Rowan decides to let us keep the stolen Pokemon, gives us a Pokedex and sends us out to catch all the Pokemon. Dawn gives us a tour of the town, shows us the Pokemon Center and the Pokemart, and says we should probably tell our mum that we're leaving home for an indefinite amount of time to go catch all the Pokemon. So we head back to Twin Leaf Town, talk to Mum, take a nap, and then Barry's mum comes in and says that Barry's gone and she has no idea where he is. Probably blowing someone for more coke. She gives us the parcel to pass on to Barry, and then we head back to Sandgem Town where Dawn gives us some Pokeballs and shows us how to catch a Bidoof. Then after all that, we finally battle our first trainer, youngster Tristan and his level 5 Starly. We get through a couple more trainer battles and then make our way north to Jubilife City where Dawn tells us that Barry is at the trainer's school. We drop off the parcel to Barry, who tells us that he's off to Auburg City to take on the gym. We meet a strange man in the middle of town who tells us that he'll give us a Poketech if we can find 3 clowns. We find the 3 clowns and grab the Poketech, then make our way out east towards Auburg City. We run into Barry, take out his Piplup, and continue on through the Auburg Gate, where a random hiker very kindly gives us the HM for the fighting type move Rock Smash, which will come in very handy later on. There's a few trainer battles here and there, and a few wild encounters, but eventually we make it to Auburg City, where some random kid calls us a noob, and shows us to the gym, where Barry's just kinda hanging out the front. Barry the Coke Fiend scatterbrains his way through most of a sentence to tell us that the gym leader is in the Auburg Mine. We head down to the mines to find a bunch of wild Geodude and Onix, which would usually be a problem, but we've got Rock Smash now, so it's fine. We meet Roxanne, who teaches us how to use Rock Smash to smash rocks. But we're not allowed to do it until after we beat her, so she heads back to the gym, and so do we, where we walk through the doors with a time of 36 minutes, which makes this the first game where it takes over half an hour to get to the first gym. Pokemon Platinum. And yep, we're going the girl again. This time we start off with a special report by Professor Rowan after a holiday in Kanto before Barry breaks into our house, touches all our stuff, and then leaves. We go downstairs and Mum's like, why are you friends with that guy? And honestly, I don't have an answer to that question. On the way out the door, Mum says, don't go into the tall grass. So we meet up with Barry, who wants to go into the tall grass. His cocaine brain logic is that if he runs fast enough, he won't touch the grass. Before he can test out his theory, Professor Rowan stops to ask us if we love Pokemon. We say yes, so he gives us a Pokemon. We have a very slow battle with Barry, who just spams Growl over and over, which doesn't do any damage, it just reduces our attack stats. So the battle's just annoying and takes twice as long as it should. Back home, Mum tells us that we should go and thank Professor Rowan for stopping Barry from being an idiot, but before we can, Barry the Coke Fiend decides that we should go to Lake Verity to catch a mysterious legendary Pokemon, where we do some more eavesdropping, but this time it's Cyrus, but we don't know that yet. He seems like a nice guy. Barry remembers that he doesn't have any Pokeballs to catch this mysterious legendary Pokemon, so we give up and continue doing what we were doing before he got here. The rest of the game plays out pretty much the same as Diamond and Pearl, at least up to the first gym, with a few small exceptions like getting TM27 from Professor Rowan, meeting Looker in Jubilife City, and obviously having Lucas show us around instead of Dawn, cause I'm a girl now. But we still drop the parcel to Barry, we still have to find the clowns, we still get the HM from the random hiker, and we still have to go down to the mines to find Roxanne. But everything runs just a little bit quicker in Platinum, so we get to the gym and finish with a time of 31 minutes. But before we go full achromatic, we got another remake. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. We are back in Johto with a fresh coat of paint and ready to go, and the second we step out the front door, we've already got some changes from the old games. We meet a Marill who's playing hide and seek with its trainer Lyra, and then head into the lab to see Professor Elm, where once again, he wants us to go see Mr. Pokemon. He then gives us our very own Pokemon, yes we're going with Totodile again, but this time, he reckons we should try letting our Pokemon walk around with us, which has not happened since Pokemon Yellow, and that was only Pikachu. This is every Pokemon, so that's pretty cool. We say bye to Mum, she gives us the Pokegear, and we head out to Cherry Grove City, where an old man gives us a very unnecessary tour of the town, but at the end of the tour, he gives us his shoes, which is kinda weird, but we can run now, so that's good. We start up north but get stopped by a middle-aged balding man who gives us the Apricorn box, which we will not be using. We battle a couple of wild bugs and then go see Mr. Pokemon, who gives us the mystery egg. And Professor Oak is still just kinda hanging out, but he gives us the Pokedex, which means everything's pretty much the same as Gold and Silver from here. We get a call from Elm, we battle the rival, go back to the lab, Lyra's there this time. Elm looks at the egg, and we leave. And then Lyra shows us how to catch a rat. We start making our way towards Violet City, and I finally managed to dodge the secret ninja youngster Joey to take on youngster Mikey. We battle some more bugs on the way, Lyra gives us the versus recorder, and we are in the gym at 24 minutes, which I don't know how much you're keeping track of times here, but Gold and Silver was only 16 minutes, so there's a lot more going on in these games. Speaking of games with a lot going on, Pokemon Black and White. We begin our epic journey through the Unova region in the town of New Vema with our best friends Cherin and Bianca. But Bianca's running late because she's a super fun happy-go-lucky girl, and Cherin's getting impatient because he's a very serious, no-nonsense kind of guy. But Bianca finally arrives and it's time to open our present from Professor Juniper, and pause. Now, Snively's really more of a defensive build, so it's between the physical attacking Tepig and the special attacking Oshawott. Now, Tepig's looking pretty good with a base 63 in attack, but that level 7 Ember is going to get wasted with his base 45 special attack. Now, Oshawott's only rocking a base 55 attack stat for Tackle, but Tackle's now been buffed up to base 50 attack damage with 100% accuracy. And that level 7 Water Gun coming off a base 63 special attack, that's going to be like the strongest attack we've had in any of these games so far. The bar has been set very low, but we're going with the Otter. And unpause. With our new Pokemon chosen, Bianca's keen for a battle. Sharon says it's probably not a good idea to have a battle inside, but we do it anyway. We take out Bianca's Tepig, and since the room is already trashed from the first battle, Sharon's like, screw it, let's do it. So we take out his Snivy, and then head downstairs where Sharon and Bianca leave. Then Mum gives us the X-Transceiver, which is just an edgy name for a phone. We go down to Bianca's house and walk in on some domestic violence before Bianca leaves, and we follow her up to the Pokemon lab where she asks us to keep that a secret. She should really talk to someone. We meet Professor Juniper, who gives us the Pokedex, and then head outside where Mum gives us all town maps. All three of us head to Route 1 together, where Professor Juniper shows us how to catch a Patrat. Sharon and Bianca go ahead, and then we follow up north to Accumula Town, where Professor Juniper shows us the Pokemon Center and the new Pokemart, which is now inside the Pokemon Center to keep everything all in one place. We head back outside, and Sharon calls us over to watch a mysterious man named Getsus give a speech about Pokemon liberation, and how we all treat Pokemon as slaves, and how they should be allowed to roam free, and he kinda has a point here, but he thanks us for our time and leaves. A different mysterious man from the crowd named N says he can hear our Pokemon speak to him, and he wants to battle. We battle his level 7 Purloin, and then he decides that Getsus is onto something, and he needs to do something about it. Sharon says he's headed towards Stratton City to take on the gym, so we follow him out west where Mum stops us to give us the running shoes, and we are back to the Zippy Zooms. We have our first trainer battle against youngster Jimmy and his level 7 Patrat. And then Bianca wants a rematch, so we take out her level 6 Lillipup and level 7 Tepig. We arrive at Stratton City and head straight to the gym, but the gym leader's at the trainer school at the moment. When we get to the trainer school, Sharon tells us that we just missed gym leader Silent, but he wants a rematch too, so we take out his level 8 Snivy and Purloin. We go back to the gym where Silent says that because we picked the water type starter, we don't stand a chance against his grass types and should go to the Dream Yard out east to train. If you didn't know, the first gym in these games will always use the type that your starter is weak against, which again is a good way of hiding a tutorial inside the gameplay instead of just some dialogue that tells you all about the different types. But we head to the Dream Yard where we battle a few trainers, and then the last trainer gives us the fire type Pokemon Pansear to take on the gym. So we head back to Stratton and walk through the front door of the gym with a time of 27 minutes. And I hope you were paying attention, because the next games are a straight up sequel. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. Now, unlike the previous generations, this is not just a reskinned version of the previous games, but a full-on sequel set after the events of Pokemon Black and White. So this time, we are starting off our journey in a whole new town, Aspertia City. We start outside the house, with Mum taking a phone call from Professor Juniper to let her know that we're about to get our very first Pokemon. Mum comes inside and then tells us all about it before we head off to meet the Professor's assistant. But on the way, we run into our neighbour Hugh, who's keen to see us get our first Pokemon. Hugh follows us up to the lookout where we meet the Professor's assistant, and it's Bianca from the first games. I'm just happy to see she's doing well. She gives us our starter, yes we're going with Oshawott again, and the Pokedex. Then Hugh asks for a Pokedex too, and challenges us to our first battle. We take out his Snivy, then Bianca shows us around the Pokemon Center. Mum swings by to give us the running shoes and 2 town maps, one for us and one to pass on to Hugh in Flockacy Town. Then Bianca tells us to follow her up north where she shows us how to catch a Purloin. We continue on towards Flockacy Town where we meet Elder, who's very keen to help us train. But we gotta get this map to Hugh, so we continue further north until we find our first trainer battle against youngster Terrell and his level 4 Patrat. After a few more battles, we make it to the Flockacy Ranch where we find Hugh. We give him the map and have another quick battle. After the battle, the owners of the ranch ask us to help find their missing herdier who is lost somewhere on the ranch. We find the herdier being chased by a member of Team Plasma who throws the TM for frustration at us before running away. We head back down to see Elder, who's changed his mind and decides that we don't need to train anymore, but then he asks us to battle some of his students to help train them. We take down a Panseer and a Pansage, and once again the monkeys are being used as a tutorial for type matchup, so I'm okay with it. As we leave Elder's place, a mysterious man gives us the metal box, which we will not be using. Then Elder tells us that we should go and take on the newly built gym back in Aspertia City. So we head back to our hometown where the new gym is ready for its first challenges. And once we walk in the door, we find out that the new gym leader of the Aspertia City gym is Charon from the first games. I'm just happy to see he's doing well. But we finish with a time of 25 minutes. Alright, I know Gen 5 had a lot of story stuff to get through, but that's not going to be a problem for the next games. Pokemon X and Y. And these games are gorgeous. I actually really enjoyed going back and playing these games because it has been a long time since I played X and Y. But we start off in the new region of Kalos in Vanderville. We throw on a new outfit to go downstairs and say hi to Mum, then head out the front door to meet Serena and Shauna, who welcome us to the town and invite us to meet the rest of their friends. And there is no messing around in these games. We are zippy zooming right from the start. So we head up the road to Aquacord where we meet Tiano and Trevor, who give us a cringy nickname. And then Tiano pulls out the new starter Pokemon from Professor Sycamore. And pause. Now we've got Chespin, the slow physical attacker, Fennekin, the fast special attacker, or Froakie, the mixed attacker. But these games are notorious for being the easiest games in the entire franchise, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going with the Frog, and unpause. We have a quick battle against Shauna's Fennekin before heading home to say bye to Mum, and on the way out, Mum's Rhyhorn stops us to say goodbye as well. It's very cute. We go straight through Aquacord before Serena shows us how to catch a Bunnelby and gives us some Pokeballs. We battle our first trainer, youngster Austin, and his level 5 Zigzagoon. It's kind of weird that they didn't go with a new Gen 6 Pokemon here, but it's fine. We make our way through the Santaloon Forest while the four friends are kind of just hanging out doing their own thing. Then once we're out of there, they all talk to each other about all the stuff they want to do and where they want to go and catching Pokemon and battling and all the standard stuff. We see a girl on roller skates and she seems to be having a good time. Then once we get to Santaloon City, that same girl is hanging out in front of the gym. She challenges us to a battle, we win, and then she gives us the roller skates. But we don't have time for that because we are in the doors of the gym at just 16 minutes, which doesn't quite beat out the Kanto games, but it's pretty close. Now we never go to Pokemon Z or X2 and Y2 or whatever, so we are straight into Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And I think this might be my favorite intro in a Pokemon game. We start off with the classic Game Boy Advance gameplay, and then pull back to reveal that it's just a game within the game. There has been a massive upgrade to the visuals over the last 3 generations. This game looks really good, but other than the updated graphics, we actually don't have a huge amount of change in the gameplay, at least this early in the game. We set the clock, miss Dad on TV, go meet May, save the professor, battle May, and head towards the Petalburg gym. But this time we gotta stop a couple of times to learn about the new Deck Snap features, which are awesome, but we will not be using. We go see Dad in the gym, Wally comes in, he catches a Ralts, we go through the Petalburg woods, we save the Devon researcher from Team Aqua, and head into the Rustboro City gym at 28 minutes, which is a little bit slower than the original games, but I'm happy to take it a bit slower in these games because they look so pretty. It was still pretty quick though. But the next games, whew, this is gonna be a long one. Pokemon Sun and Moon. Alright, so these games got a little bit experimental and scrapped the whole idea of gyms in favor of the island trials, which are basically just replacements for gyms, but let's see how long it takes to get to the first trial. We open up on a cutscene, get used to these, there's a lot in these games, where we see a blonde girl in all white running from other people in all white with a mysterious Pokemon stashed in her bag, but she's cornered with no escape. Then suddenly, the mysterious Pokemon starts to glow and credits. We also get our first time jump in a Pokemon game here, 3 months later. The actual game starts on the island of Mele Mele in the new Alola region where we've just moved from Kanto. Professor Kukui breaks into the house and welcomes us to the island, then invites us to meet the island kahuna to get our very own Pokemon. We grab our bag and our hat and head off with Professor Kukui to Iki Town, where we see that same girl from that cutscene that one time, so we follow her up the Maholo Trail. We get another cutscene where we get to see Cosmog for the first time, who is immediately attacked by a flock of Spearow in the middle of an old rickety bridge. Blondie asks us to help Nebby, she calls her Cosmog Nebby, so we run onto the bridge and cover the little guy with our own body. Nebby does the little glowy thing and blows up the bridge, but a mysterious Pokemon swoops in to save us. Nebby finds a sparkling stone, then gives it to Blondie, who gives it to us, in exchange for us not telling anyone what happened. We follow her back to Iki Town, where we learn that Blondie is actually the professor's assistant, and her name is Lily. The kahuna finally arrives, and we learn that the mysterious Pokemon is Tapu Koko, the guardian of the Mele Mele Island, after Lily tells him everything that happened when she just told us not to tell anyone what happened. God damn it, Lily. The kahuna then shows us the 3 starter Pokemon, and pause. So once again, the grass type is more of a defensive build, with Rowlet investing most of its stats in HP, so that's not going to work. Popplio is definitely the best option here, with 66 in special attack, which will go very nicely with both Water Gun and the Fairy type attack Disarming Voice at level 8. But I like Litten, so I don't care, we're going with Litten. And unpause. Professor Kukui gives us the Pokedex and we are ready to go, but we don't get too far before we're stopped by some random kid who wants to battle. He introduces himself as Hao, and we have our rival for these games. We absolutely destroy his Rowlet because he didn't get the memo that he's supposed to choose the starter that we're weak against. But with that battle done, we are ready to go, and nope, we have to go to the Iki Town Festival first, but it's not till tomorrow. So we go home for now and show off our new Pokemon to Mum, and then head to bed. In the morning, Kukui breaks into the house again and shows us how to catch a Pikipek. We make our way up towards Iki Town and have our first trainer battle against youngster Jimmy and his level 3 Alolan Rattata, showing off the new Alolan forms of the region. We battle a few more trainers before getting to the Iki Town Festival, where Hao wants a rematch, but this time he's got a Pichu. We beat Hao for a second time, then learn all about the Z Crystals, and the 4 Islands, and the 7 Island Trials before heading home for another night in. The next morning, we meet up with Lily, who shows us the Pokemon Lab, where Kukui gives us the Rotom Dex, which is a Pokedex that's been haunted by the spirit of a Rotom. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but Hao turns up and he's pretty keen on these island trials, so Kukui gives us the Island Trial Amulet, and we are ready to go. But not just yet, first we gotta do the whole trainer school thing. Before we go any further, we must prove ourselves by beating the 4 trainers scattered around the school. We take out a Bonsly, a Metapod, a Pikipek, and an Alolan Grimer before we are called up to the office to battle the teacher Emily with her Magnemite and Alolan Meowth. Kukui introduces us to Captain Ilima, who will be running the first island trial. We get a cute little goodbye from the school kids and we are ready to go. Almost. There's a Tauros blocking the road, but he just needs a little pat on the head and he's all happy again. And we are off to Howley. We go to the first city. We meet some locals, some shady dude shows us how to use a camera, Lily gives us the lens case, and then we overhear some people talking about a group called Team Skull who are making some trouble down at the old marina. So we go to sort it out, but we're stopped by Hal, who tells us that he likes donuts. So we ignore him and keep moving. We get to the marina to find Captain Ilima and get interrupted by two members of Team Skull who seem to be suffering from some type of seizure. We have a quick battle and they leave, but then Ilima wants to see if we're ready for the trial, so she challenges us to a battle. Her young goose goes down pretty easy, but her Smeargle is kinda scary because it always knows a move that is super effective against your starter, in this case, Water Gun. But we get the win and head north towards our first island trial. We battle a few more trainers along the way before we're stopped by a Delibird who wants our help to stop a couple of Team Skull grunts from stealing all the berries. We take out their Drowsy and then keep heading north where we find Hal, who shows us another Pokemon Center, and finally make it into the Verdant Cavern, where Ilima invites us inside to begin the first trial after 1 hour and 18 minutes. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Alright, I promise not to go through every little thing again, but there's a few changes we gotta talk about. We start off with the same cutscene and a 3-month time jump, but this time, we are straight into it with a similar setup to the old Gen 1 games, where we walk out into the tall grass, a young goose jumps out, and one of the 3 starters runs up to save us. Kukui shows up and lets us pick one to keep, and we're going with Litten again. From there, it's a lot of the same stuff from the last games, just with the order of events shuffled around a little bit. We meet Hal, have a quick battle, then meet Lily and do the whole Cosmog on the bridge thing, then meet the Island Kahuna, do the whole festival thing, battle Hal, but we also meet 2 members of the Ultra Recon Squad, but we don't know about that yet. We do the whole trainer school thing again, but this time, the teacher's got a Poplio, which is a little bit scary, but everything from there is pretty much the same up until the Delibird. Cause now it's a crab brawler, and we gotta go down to the beach to battle a couple of Team Skull grunts who are trying to ride the Mantine, but the trial starts after 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now those were 2 pretty long games, but the next one's gonna be nice and quick because we are back in Kanto with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now even though these are kind of remakes of Red and Blue, there are a lot of changes. First of all, we are now on console. These are the first games for the Nintendo Switch. We are also committed to our starter before we even start, because there's only 1 starter per game, and we are going with Eevee, because it's the only chance we'll ever get. But we are back in Kanto in glorious 1080p HD, and unlike the old games, Blue is actually a pretty nice guy now. I don't like it. But we head out to the tall grass where we meet Professor Oak and Eevee, and we are introduced to a new catching mechanic in this game, where you literally just throw Pokeballs like it's Pokemon Go. We catch the Eevee, but Eevee doesn't like staying in its ball, so it kinda just sits on our head, which is way better. And on the way to grab Oak's parcel from Viridian City, we learn that there are no more random wild encounters, but now we can actually see all the Pokemon just hanging out in the world, which is also way better. We drop off the parcel, have a quick battle with Blue and his Pikachu, and make our way towards the Viridian Forest. We have a new first trainer battle with youngster Ronnie and his level 3 Rattata, then make our way through the forest where our old mate Bugcatcher Sammy is waiting with his Metapod, who is now level 3 instead of level 10. This is a very easy game. We go straight through Pewter City and into the doors of the gym, and hold up! We can't actually battle the gym in this game until we can show the referee a water or a grass type Pokemon, so this really doesn't count. So we go catch a Bellsprout, head back to the gym, and finish with a time of 19 minutes. Now that was a nice quick one. It was also the last quick one, because next up is Pokemon Sword and Shield. We begin our journey through the Galar region in the town of Postwick, where we are immediately introduced to our best friend Hop and his Wooloo, while another Wooloo is working up a concussion on the gate to the Slumbering Weld. Hop takes us to Wedgehurst to meet his brother Leon, who is the current champion of the Galar League. He rocks a cape, likes to dance, and has a Charizard. We follow Leon back to his house in Postwick, where he offers us one of the 3 new starters, and pause. Now, Scorbunny's got the highest base attack of the 3 with 71, but only gets Ember at level 6, which is a special attack, and Double Kick at level 12, which is a fighting type attack, and Scorbunny is pure fire, which means we don't get any stab on the rabbit. Grookey has a pretty decent base 65 in attack and gets Branch Poke at level 6, as well as Razor Leaf at level 12, both of which are physical attacks, which get the same type attack bonus, so the monkey's looking pretty good here. But Sobble's rocking a base 70 in special attack. It gets Water Gun at level 6, Water Pulse at level 12, both of which are special attacks, the latter of which also has a chance to confuse. So we're going with Sobble. And unpause. We have a quick battle with Hop, who makes all the same mistakes as How and picks the starter that is weak to ours. He does have his Wooloo, but taking that out gets us up to level 6, and we 2-shot the bunny with Water Gun. After the battle, we hear a crash, and it turns out that the Wooloo from earlier eventually made it through the gate, and apparently the Slumbering Weld is off limits for some reason, so we go in to save the Wooloo, but before we can find it, we come across a mysterious Pokemon in the fog. We try to battle it, but our attacks are not very effective. Eventually, we wide out and wake up to Leon, who's found the Wooloo. We head back home to say bye to Mum and then head up to Wedgehurst City, where Leon shows us the Pokemon Lab. We meet the professor's assistant Sonia, who gives us the Pokedex app on our phone. The Pokedex is an app now. Hop shows us to the Pokemon Center, then tells us about the Gym Challenge, but before we can start taking on the gyms, we need a letter of endorsement. We follow Hop towards the professor's house, and on the way, Leon shows us how to catch a Wooloo. There's a lot of sheep in this game. We also get our first trainer battle here, youngster Jake and his level 6 Squabbit. We catch up to Hop and Leon and meet Professor Magnolia, who is a lovely old lady that enjoys a nice cup of tea. She convinces Leon to give us the letter of endorsement if we can show him a brilliant battle. We battle Hop again, who now has his Wooloo, Scorbunny and a Rookidee. Leon says that that was a proper battle and gives us the endorsement. Then, for no particular reason, completely out of nowhere, 2 stars fall out of the sky and land right next to each other like 4.5 meters away. And it turns out that these are wishing stars and they can be used to Dynamax our Pokemon. It's very lucky that there's 2 of them right next to each other so we can both have one, but Sonia turns up and says it's time for dinner, so go home. We come back the next morning where Professor Magnolia has converted the wishing stars into Dynamax bands. We follow Hop to the Wedgehurst station to catch a train up to Motostoke to see the Gym Challenge opening ceremony. He gives us the TM for Swift, and then our mum stopped by to see us off. When we get off the train, we find out that we haven't quite made it to Motostoke yet because there's a flock of Wooloo on the tracks blocking the train. Again with the sheep. But Hop's pretty stoked about it because this is the Wild Area station. And the Wild Area is a massive open area full of all kinds of different Pokemon roaming around in the wild, just waiting to be caught. There's raid dens with all kinds of super rare Pokemon that you can't find anywhere else, and we don't care, so we just bail straight through to Motostoke. We meet up with Sonia, who shows us the way to the stadium before Leon stops us to give us the Mystic Water, which just makes water attacks a little bit stronger. We find a Hop at the stadium, then get our first look at Bede, who is apparently a guy, but I'm not convinced. The man at the counter tells us that the ceremony is tomorrow and we should spend the night at the Budju Drop Inn. We head to the inn where Sonia tells us about the legend of the Darkest Day before we meet Team Yell, who are a bunch of punks, I guess? But they play horns, so I guess they're ska punks? I don't know, I'm fairly sure they're meant to be soccer hooligans, but we team up with Hop to take out their Nickit and Galaria's Zigzagoon. Yes, we have region exclusives again, and we meet Marnie. And it turns out the Team Yell aren't trying to steal all the Pokemon, or drain all the oceans, or take over the world or whatever. They just really like Marnie, and they made a little fan club cheer squad thing. And I kinda get it, because I like Marnie too. We go to bed, and the next morning we head off to see the Gym Challenge opening ceremony, where we put on our new Gym Challenge uniform and are introduced to Rose, who is the chairman of the Pokemon League. We are then introduced to 7 of the 8 gym leaders. With the ceremony over, we are free to make our way towards Turffield and the first gym. But first, Hop wants another battle. We take out the sheep, the bunny, and the bird, then head to the Galar Mine, where we chase a Carcol around for a bit. We battle a few trainers and have our first evolution for this entire video, when Sobble evolves into a Drizzile. We meet Bede properly now, and I'm still not convinced that's a dude, but we take down his team of psychic types and head into Turffield, where we meet another Wooloo. But this time it belongs to Gym Leader Milo, who introduces himself. And why do you have a Wooloo? Why does everyone have a Wooloo? You're meant to be the grass type gym leader. Wooloo is not a grass type. Hop tells us that Sonia wants to see us, and Yamp is going to show us the way. We follow the little pupper up the hill, where Sonia shows us a mysterious geoglyph that may depict the events of the darkest day. But we don't have time for any of that, because we are heading straight to the gym and through the doors with a time of 1 hour and 13 minutes. Now, we did get some DLC in Sword and Shield, but they don't really have gyms in the Isle of Armor or the Crown Tundra, so we are straight into another remake. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now, for better or worse, these games are very faithful remakes of Diamond and Pearl, so there's not that much we really need to get through here. We go with Chimchar again, and Barry's still on the nose beers. We meet Professor Rowan and his assistant Dawn and head to Jubilife City. We still have to find the clowns and get the Poketech, and we still have to go down to the mines to meet Roxanne, and this kid still calls us a noob. But there's not really that much that's changed other than the graphics. I mean, the graphics haven't really changed all that much anyways, at least compared to the other remakes. But we get into the gym with a time of 34 minutes. Unsurprisingly, pretty much the same as the old games. Now, I'd love any excuse to play me some Legends Arceus, cause that game made me actually like Sinnoh. But there are no gyms in Legends, so finally, we are on to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We begin our journey through the Paldea region in the small town of Cabo Poco, where we prepare for our first day of school at the Naranja Academy. We head downstairs and meet the Academy's director Clavel, who offers us one of the 3 starters, and pause. Now, Quaxley has the highest base attack stat with 65, and Fuecoco has the highest base special attack with 63, so it looks like the grass starter is going to be left out once again. But Quaxley starts off the game with Water Gun, which is a special attack, which means that base 65 in physical attack is completely wasted. Fuecoco does get Ember, which is a special attack, but the next move it learns is Round, which is only really good if multiple Pokemon use the attack. And then we're on to Bite, which is a physical attack, again wasting that 63 in special attack. Sprigatito, however, is rocking a very respectable base 61 in attack and starts the game with Leafage, a grass type physical attack, before learning Bite, which is another physical attack and gives us some dark type coverage, as well as Hone Claws, which increases accuracy, and physical attack. So for the first time, we are going with the grass type. And unpause. Before we can actually get the grass kitty, Mum gives us a phone, and then we have a little stroll down the road while the 3 starters are just kinda hanging out with us. It's pretty cute. Also, we can run now. We meet a girl named after a respiratory disease before we grab the grass kitty, and Pneumonia takes the duck. Because despite being a champion ranked trainer, she's keen to start a new save file and play alongside us. We have a quick battle with Pneumonia, not the sickness, the trainer, and take down her duck very easily. These new generation rivals really need to stop picking the starter this week to us, but Clavel shows us how to download the Pokedex app. Yeah, it's still an app. Then Clavel reminisces on the days of pen and paper Pokedexes before Pneumonia shows us around the school, so we follow her towards the Poco path. Mum stops by to give us a sandwich and Pneumonia shows us how to catch a Lechonk. But this time, she actually gets us to catch the Lechonk, so now we have a kitty and a piggy. She gives us some Pokeballs and tells us to go practice catching more Pokemon before we meet her up at the lighthouse. We ignore her and go straight to the lighthouse, but on the way, we hear a mysterious cry that turns out to be an injured Pokemon down on the beach. We slip down the cliff, but we're saved by our magical flying phone? Why is this never used again? I want to fly around on my phone, that sounds awesome! But we go over to the mysterious Pokemon who seems to be too weak to move, so we give it that sandwich that Mum gave to us earlier and it seems to work. The mysterious Pokemon gets up, does a little glowy thing, and then heads into the cave by the beach. We follow it through the cave where we are attacked by an angry Houndoom and its little Houndour pups. But the mysterious Pokemon scoops us up and carries us out to safety where it immediately collapses, but it gets up pretty quick. Also, Pneumonia's there. We all head to the lighthouse together where we meet Arven, who has mummy issues, and is revealed to be the trainer of the mysterious Pokemon, whose name we learn is Koraidon, and this isn't even its final form. Arven doesn't like Koraidon and wants to get rid of it, so he decides that if we can beat him in a battle, then it's ours. We battle Arven and beat his level 5 Squabbit, so Arven gives us the Pokeball for Koraidon. But we can't actually use Koraidon in a battle yet because it's still hungry and needs more sandwiches. We go to the top of the lighthouse, look at the school, then Pneumonia says we'll meet back up at Los Platos, where she shows us the new drive-through Pokemon Center, which also includes the Pokemart and a new TM machine where we can craft TMs. We head towards Mesagoza where we have another battle with Pneumonia, the trainer, and she reveals the new terrestrialization mechanic where the Pokemon gets all sparkly and gets a ridiculous hat. But you can use this mechanic to change any Pokemon's type to any other type in the game, and they get a boosted attack damage for that type. We don't really care because we won't be using it, but it is a thing now. Now in these games you can avoid pretty much every trainer battle, and all the wild Pokemon are just roaming around like they are in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So as long as we don't run into them, we also don't have any wild encounters, so from here, we should be able to just walk straight to the first gym. But not quite, because we gotta go to school first. We head up to the entrance of the Naranja Academy, where we find a girl with a sweet Eevee backpack being harassed by a couple of members of Team Star. We take down the first grunt's Shroodle before Pneumonia steps in to give us our own Terra Orb, so now we can wear a dumb hat too. We battle the second grunt, and screw it, I know I said we're not going to use it, but I'm going to do it just this once. We put a hat on the cat and take down the rat. Yungoos isn't really a rat, but Mongoose doesn't rhyme with hat. Also, Hustle V Star is both the best and worst pun in a Pokemon game. We continue into the school where we are welcomed by Director Clavel. Pneumonia tells him about the whole Team Star thing and we learn that the girl with the Eevee backpack's name is Penny. We are introduced to our new classmates, our biology teacher Mr. Jacques, and sit through our first class. After our biology class, we head to the cafeteria where we meet up with Arven, who tells us all about his love for cooking and then asks us to help him find a special herb that can heal Pokemon, kinda like a potion. But the 5 Herba Mystica are guarded by the Titan Pokemon, and he kinda sucks at Pokemon battles. So he gives us the location of the 5 Titan Pokemon, and we unlock the Path of Legends questline. Before we can leave the cafeteria, we get an anonymous phone call from someone who calls themselves Cassiopeia. The mysterious caller then asks us to help take down Team Star. Next we head up to the staff room where we find Pneumonia talking to an octopus. It turns out that the octopus is actually a woman named Gita who is the champion of the Paldea region, or La Primera. Pneumonia tells us all about the 8 gym leaders and the Pokemon League and the annual treasure hunt, which is just a fancy way of saying go out and do whatever you want because this game is open world. She gives us the location of the 8 gyms and we unlock the Victory Road questline, which is the only one that we actually care about for this video. But before we can do anything about it, we are called up to the director's office. We head in to see Director Clavel, who makes some small talk before introducing us to Professor Sada, who unfortunately can't be here right now, but she's happy to FaceTime. She tells us about the mysterious Area Zero and that she used to be Koraidon's trainer, and then asks us to take good care of it for her. Pneumonia turns up and then shows us to our room, where we jump into bed and then skip all the way to the last day of school. Pneumonia comes in and tells us to head to the schoolyard, where Director Clavel announces that it's time for the treasure hunt, which means that we can finally leave the school and actually play the game. But not yet, because first we gotta listen to Arvin and Pneumonia argue about whether we should go east towards the first Titan or go west towards the first gym. And then we get another phone call from Cassiopeia, who tells us that it's time to take down Team Star. We get the 5 locations of the Team Star bases and unlock the Starfall Street questline. Arvin and Pneumonia argue a bit more, but Cassiopeia tells them to shut up because it's our decision to make. Koraidon pops out of its ball and decides that it's keen for a run, so we jump on its back and get the hell out of this fucking school. Now we got 2 options: head east to the grass gym in Artisan, or head west to the bug gym in Cortando. So let's do both and see what happens. Heading out east, we get a call from Arvin, who is very happy that we've decided to take on the Stony Cliff Titan. But we're not actually doing that, so we bail straight through Area 3 and into the doors of the Artisan Gym with a time of 1 hour and 11 minutes. Heading out west, we get a call from Pneumonia, who is very happy to see that we've decided to take on the Gym Challenge. And not really, we're not actually going to battle the gym, but we are going there. We bail straight through Area 2 and into the doors of the Cortando Gym with a time of 1 hour and 10 minutes, which either proves that the Cortando Gym is definitely the first gym, or that it doesn't matter which way you go because there's literally a minute between them. And at least half that time was spent dicking around in the school. But we did it! We got to every first gym in every game. So let's quickly go back through each game and see how we went. The slowest time was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon with 1 hour and 20 minutes. Followed by Sun and Moon with 1 hour and 18 minutes. Next was Sword and Shield with 1 hour and 13 minutes, then Scarlet and Violet with 1 hour and 10 minutes, or 1 hour 11 minutes depending on which gym you like. Then we have a pretty big jump back down to Gen 4 with Diamond and Pearl, which took 36 minutes. Then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which took 34 minutes, and Platinum, which took 31 minutes. Then a Gen 6 remake of a Gen 3 game with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire at 28 minutes. Then straight to Gen 5 with Black and White at 27 minutes, and then the sequels Black 2 and White 2 with 25 minutes. And then we're a bit all over the place with Heart Gold and Soul Silver at 24 minutes, Emerald at 20 minutes, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee at 19 minutes, Crystal with 18 minutes, Ruby and Sapphire with 17 minutes, and then we have a tie between the Gen 2 games Gold and Silver and the Gen 6 games X and Y, both at 16 minutes, which means that the final 3 are all in Kanto. Yellow took 14 minutes, Red and Blue took 12 minutes, which means the fastest time goes to Fire Red and Leaf Green with 11 minutes. Now, because of my incredibly accurate and scientific methods, let's group all the times by region, throw it all on a bar graph, and see what it looks like. Now, the times slowly get longer up until the Diamond and Pearl era before crushing back down with X and Y, but since then, every game takes over an hour just to get to the first gym. So if you feel like the last few generations have felt a bit heavy on the tutorials, or like there's been a little bit too much hand-holding, you might not be wrong. There's definitely a trend here. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you next time.